Alright, what's up athletes? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make some of the things that you see on screen, something like it. I'm just going to be going through my whole process. So we're just going to jump right into that. So first off, what I'm going to want to do is I'm just going to save the project. I'm going to press Control S. I'm just going to save it as tutorial. Alright, so now we got it saved. I'm just going to press A and then just delete everything. So first off, I'm going to add a cube. This is going to be our particle emitter. I might change it to a circle later. We'll see. I'm going to go over to this wrench icon, add modifier. I'm going to search particle system. Now we have a particle system. Press play. Everything falls down. So what we're going to go do is obviously. So first off, I'm just going to crank my thing to 1,000. We'll crank lifetime randomness up, but we really want these less like 500 frames. We don't really need that much, but we want to have a good. We need to be able to like see this for when we render later. We want to be able to have like a gigantic path. So we want to last one. We're going to check rotation. We're going to go down to render. I'm going to go collection. Turn scale randomness up right away. And then we're going to go over here. New collection. We're just going to name it instances. I didn't spell that. Okay, it's fine. It's not spelled right. It's whatever. We'll go meta ball. I'm going to add a ball. G, X. So press G to move. And then you can lock the X's pressing X, Y, or Z. So G, Y. Shift A, Shift A is to add if you didn't know that. So then I'm going to press Shift A, go to meta ball, and then cube again. I'm going to S to scale it down. G, Y, move over. And then we're going to click these, and then we're going to go right click, and then we're going to go to move to collection, and then we're going to go to instances. And now we're going to go back to this cube. In this particles thing, under render, we're going to go render as collection, and then we're going to go instance collection. We're going to click on that collection. And now you'll see when we press play, you can see a tiny little particle, so we want these to be bigger. So we're going to go up to our render and scale to increase that. We're going to make that larger. Now you see kind of a variation, and you can kind of see they're falling, but we might want a little bit more. So I'm going to go like 2,000. We'll go 3,000. And depending on your PC, you might need more or less. Boom. So now basically you have a particle simulation. I'm actually going to turn this down to 1,500 for now before we get to our render because it is kind of laggy. So now we have this. And we're going to go Shift A. We're going to go down to Force Field, and we're going to go to Curve Guide. Then we're going to S to click on the Curve Guide, S to scale. And we need to take it out of our instances, actually. So we're going to drag this from the collection, from the instances collection to that. Be careful with that because that will mess up stuff. We're just going to go E, and then we don't have to lock it to an axis, but we can if we want. So I'm just going to press E and just move my cursor around. And then later, if I need to move it more specifically, I can press G and then Shift Z if you want to move it on just to X and Y, or G and Z if you want to just move it up and down. We're just going to drag these out randomly and make it look all flowy kind of. And we can turn on proportional editing up here. You can just press O on your keyboard if you want to move stuff around more like smoothly. So it does get kind of wild, and this is a really like a really unrefined process, an unrefined like particle system, but like it still kind of works. So you kind of just have to like let it click, just stick with it, because even though it is actually really broken, like it can look cool. And I believe if you duplicate this, it will look weirder. So I mean, we don't really need. We might want to turn it up actually. If we want to make it longer, I don't really know. This is like already broken, so like you can't really. There's no real way to like actually do it like properly and have it look the nicest. You kind of just have to like do it and then see what happens. And then we'll go down to this curve and we're going to modify some of these things. So we're going to go through like 0.15. We don't want them all to be in there. And then I believe we have an rotation enabled. I haven't done this in a while, so I don't exactly remember, but this is generally what you want to do. But we got this. I really don't like the way this looks right now, but I believe there is a way to like change it. There should be a way to, there's a way to get it to look better. So I'm just gonna like mess around with these curves, and we'll see what it does. Actually, I think I'm good with one curve. This isn't gonna be a super big project, but lots of this process to getting this to look good is just messing around with the settings until you like how it looks. And I'm actually gonna scale the circle up And with metaballs, it is really weird. You have to like click on like, yeah, you have to click on it individually in the collection if you actually want to modify it. But I'm just gonna modify this curve guide a little bit more. I want to make it do some loops, so we can have it going like that. And then if you just want to add another one, you can just like really just go wherever. Should go through the middle right there. And we want to crank this up so they're closer together, or we can just make this bigger. Yeah, so if you change the scale of your emitter, things will be either closer together or farther from each other. So that's another way to kind of get what you want. I'm kind of liking how this looks. So I'm just gonna right now get my camera set up. Press Shift A. I'm gonna press Shift A. Camera. I'm gonna press Control Alt, and then if you have a large keyboard, it'll be the 0 all the way on the right side of the keyboard, 0, so it'll lock it to my view. Otherwise, you can just right click and then set active camera, and then once you get set active camera, use this lock button to get it where you want. And then remember, we do have to take that out of the instance because we do not want that to be spread around throughout. So I kind of like how this looks. Using this lock button, I'm just gonna modify it, just get it right. And I'll probably press hold Shift and then right click here. Shift A, actually no, Shift A, go down to empty and plain access. We're gonna scale it up, take it out of the collection, and then we're just gonna go to our camera and set our focus depth of field on here, and then we can modify that later too, just for now. And then you want to unclick this so your camera doesn't move more, and then we're just gonna modify this real quick because I want it to be, I want it to have more, I want it to have more particles in there, so it looks like there's more happening. And you can also make it smaller too. If I make it bigger, I feel like that'll work. Maybe maybe I need to make my camera out. We can modify it later. It's really gonna matter the most when we're actually rendering it. But then I'm gonna hit Control S to save. Just make sure I'm saving throughout the entirety of the project almost. And that's looking fine. I'm just gonna adjust this curve. I'm gonna make it. I want to move this over more because I don't want it exactly in the center. And you'll see it does get pretty chaotic, but you just have to let it go. And then make this a little bit smaller. And there we go. We kind of have that. So that's looking good. And now what I want to do is I can add more stuff to my instances collection. So you can really do anything you want, but I do have assets, like I've already made stuff to add. So you could just add like a sphere, like you could add whatever you want. But for this one, I think I'm just gonna add the basics. I'm just gonna add like the cow that I made, and then pick random. You want to enable pick random for this. So we want to go to rotation, and then I think hit randomize. Or maybe this asset is just weird. Wait, no. Yes, we're gonna see. Just give it a sec. You can add like a cow in there, and note things are gonna definitely clip together. There's nothing you can really do about it because this is a really like a cheap way to do it. So I'm gonna just go over here and move this over. I don't really like how it's close to that. Make it farther away. I'm also gonna move my emitter. I'm real quick. We can name this to emitter for that organization because we're starting to. Oh my gosh. So we're starting to get more stuff. So we're gonna go like that. I'm gonna click 7 on my large keyboard if you have one, or you can just press the Z up here to look at the top option to see how this looks from top view. So I want to like I really like how this curves, but I want to drag this further ahead. 7. You go into computer, and we're gonna go G-Z, and we're gonna move this over here. I like the way that looks. Just a bunch of random cows in there. I mean, it's random. And I think I'm also gonna go ahead and add a flamingo tube for another asset. I mean, you don't really have to have these made, and you can also literally just probably find assets online. It doesn't have to be like you don't have to have it made. I mean, I think that's really good for now. And then if you want to make some of these smaller or bigger, you just have to adjust the scale of this. You can't really do it through the particle emitter. So now I think we're ready to start rendering. Control S, we're gonna go to shading. Close these ones, right click, sometimes it doesn't like right click, join left, right click, join left. I don't really know what you use those windows for. But okay, now we're here, so we're gonna click on our I believe it is the emitter. I'm not exactly sure. No, you're gonna have to click on your matte ball. So when you add a material to a matte ball, it actually adds it to both of them, which is really weird, I believe. Like, you can't have them be separate materials. I don't really know how that works, but it does. So basically what we're gonna go do, just up Shift A, coordinate, Shift A, coordinate. You want texture coordinate, and we're just gonna put generated, and we're gonna go mapping. I don't really know what this does, but this just fixes stuff if you have issues. I'm gonna go noise, ramp, color. We want a color ramp, and then bang. We're gonna plug that in there, and we're gonna pick some colors. All right, so my microphone actually decided to like cut out when I was recording, so I'm gonna have to go back and just basically what I did is I picked some colors for this. I ended up going with green. You know, you want to spread them out on the color ramp, but then basically just turn your roughness all the way down, and then we're gonna mess with this transmission slider later to make it transparent. But for now, just roughness down. That's really it. You can make it metallic if you want. If you go metallic or roughness, and see what that does. You know, it's just roughness down for now, and then basically next step is to get an HDRI. If you don't know how to get those, you can go to like Polygon or just search up Blender HDRI. You're gonna have to download it. There's probably like a 2-minute tutorial on how to get an HDRI in Blender. I'll probably link it. It's actually really easy, but I already have some. So once you got that HDRI downloaded and you know where it is and you can find it, we're going to want to go to this world tab. It just looks like the world. Click on this color. So basically this is the color of your scene. You can change this around. But we want good lighting, so I'm just going to use our HDRI that I have. I'm going to click on this yellow dot, go over to text, go over to texture, and then click environment texture. And then I'm going to click open. I'm going to find that wherever it is. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but I have like a whole thing for Blender textures, and I have my own folder for HDRIs. I'm just going to pick an HDRI and use it. So now you can see that this is in the background. That's what we want. But so that's the next step. But then what we're going to do is actually add another layer. So we're going to go to mesh, plane, scale it up, and take it out of our collection. We might actually want to click on this box up here. Looks like a shoebox, so we don't start adding stuff into our collection. I didn't really do that earlier. Press RR to rotate with our cursor. So just double tap R. Go to the Z view. G-Shift-Z to lock it on the Z. No, X and Y axis. So we only want to be moving it there. Move it back a little bit more. So this is going to be our background instead of that HDRI. And what we can do is click Shift and then right click to move our 3D cursor. Shift A. Light, Shift A, area, scale it up. Or actually, you can probably just set G-Shift top view, and we're gonna just we want this light. This is gonna be like our background light. This is what lots of people I've seen do. So they just like to use like a background. So we're gonna go to this lighting tab. We're gonna change it to like 1000. We want it to be like. Let's go to. We want it to be like a. Okay, that's a little bit too much. We want it to be like in the center of our plane, so it kind of gives us a nice background, like effect. Right, and then we want to change this background plane. We're just going to go to like a creamish color, a slight cream tint is usually good, so you can kind of get some depth in there, maybe a little bit more. That might be a bit too much. Just going to hold shift, and you can hold shift while you're dragging this around to get a specific color, and that looks decent. Then while we're here, we can also maybe adjust our we want to be our depth of field, so you can just go to this f-stop and mess with it. You can see all of this is kind of out of frame. We're really only focused on this, and that's what we want, because that'll be a nice good background effect. And then now we can add some additional light. So we're going to go Shift, right click to add our 3D cursor. That's basically the origin where things spawn, and we're going to add another light. Shift area. Turn this up to like 1000. We want to add some just additional lights in here. Go to 5000 maybe. Shift Z. We want to make it bigger. We're just going to rotate it towards this kind of. We're going to go into our camera view and see what that looks like. Okay, it looks fine. I don't really tell. We have to get more lights in there. Shift Z R. Then we want to click R and then rotate on the Z axis. We're going to go up a little bit and then go down. make this one smaller, and press G, and then ZZ to lock it on its like original axis, so we can move it closer or farther away. We'll go like 7,500. See what it looks like without that by clicking that on and off. Click over here, G, ZZ again to move on the axis if I want to move it closer. That might actually be a little bit much, so I'll just drag this down, I think. And then we actually want to put it farther away. I think that should be fine for now. It does seem to be look all right. I want to turn this down maybe a little bit, just so those background things is present. Maybe I feel like it is a little bit boring not having that background in there, so we can go 0.2. Okay, and now this is looking all right. Now we have this, and if we want, you can change these settings so we can do one with transmission, one without. But real quick, I can actually show you guys a trick. So if we take this and we want to make this black and white, so if we want to, we can actually, what we can do is I believe we can make a certain part like only be transmissive, like a certain color, I believe. So I go into here. I believe like you can separate, there's a way to separate the colors, I believe. Constant. Maybe not. If you go, this will be slightly transmissive. And I believe the color that it is like depends, it'll like depend on what color it is. But I actually kind of like this look, so I'm just going to leave that in there. But if you want to like drag the slider closer, you can get it more. So it's kind of like a slight transmissive look. And I don't think Subsurface does anything. Might. You know, I kind of like the way this looks. It doesn't really look the best. So maybe I'm going to, if I go like that, does it look? We kind of keep in that, you know, that looks all right. And now what I can do is I can hit render image. Okay, so my microphone did cut out here, but basically what we're going to want to do is go from the shading tab to the compositing tab, and you're going to want to press Shift A and search for a viewer node, and then plug your image into that after you rendered it, and you'll see that image should pop up in the background. And then what you want to do is just search for a color correction node, and then plug it in between those two, the composite node and then the viewer node. And then basically the only thing I mess with is the saturation and contrast boxes, like for the master. So that first box and that second box on the top row. And for this project, I went for 1.2 on my saturation, 1.025 on my contrast, but that's basically it. And then you're gonna have to click render again on the image to get the compositing to actually apply to it. And then from now on, whatever image you render will automatically get composited with that same setting, so you don't have to go back every time and re-render every image. And then from there on, you can kind of just mess with the particle emitter and everything else, whatever you want. And then you should be good to kind of just start making these cool, whatever you want to call them, the cool renders. And that's basically the whole tutorial. And then I did go ahead and make a bunch of more renders just to show you what you can really do with this setup. So those are on screen right now, and they'll just be kind of just on there. But now that's basically the whole tutorial.